We talk about, tech backbone, right? Maybe a resilient backbone isn't just on the devices. It's really every component behind them, and the cabling and the power and the network drops, charging stations, you name it. Something that we've always, taken care of prior to deployment. But in your eyes, Jim, what makes a store's hardware backbone truly resilient, sorry.
Usability. And when I say that, I don't mean in the terms that people might immediately come to mind, which is, oh, it's a very usable app. I can navigate it quickly. What I'm thinking of when you think about you have high turnover in a store, you have, your staff isn't always there. Maybe the most experienced person that everybody turns to has only been there 6 months. Being able to rely on the fact that when you turn it on, it works. It connects to the network. When you pull it out of the charger, it's charged. When you put the battery in the device, the battery's charged, and everything that you need that device to deliver works. It's underrated in the conversation around tech. We talk a lot about delivery and the results and the financials. But the whole thing, to your point, Justin, it all hinges on when I reach into that rack or into that closet or to that shelf and pick up that device. If it fails at that point, all these deliverables that I've invested in, they don't show up. And so I think one of the critical things that a partner can do or a retailer can do or the combination of us all can help deliver is the assurity to that colleague and to that store manager and to that central office persona that paid for the whole thing. It works the way I want it to when I want it. And if that crumbles, whether the infrastructure isn't there, the APs aren't lit up the way you need them to, somebody got into the closet and unplugged something from the switch and you're not quite sure exactly what to do next. All that matters. And a lot of it doesn't get recognized as a really key piece of the solution.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when the physical layer is messy, that digital layer never stands a chance.
We could probably talk for hours on that, right? We touched on it earlier in this discussion around kitting and getting tech to the store. That's only a piece of it, right? The infrastructure has to be there. It has to be working. The power, the network, all of that has to come together. If that doesn't work, the whole promise of the tech that we're investing in crumbles. Which, oh, by the way, this is another one I could go on for hours on. That makes the colleague unhappy and they're not really sure and they don't trust the device. And you probably only got one or two attempts at giving them a comfort level with what you've invested in and put in front of them before they become distrusting of it and, go back to pen and paper, which is not what any of us wants.
I think when you look at that, though, the ease of use with the Zebra devices is truly amazing, especially when you go into pick some of the retailers that are currently using them. Every associate, the Home Depots of the world, the Targets of the world, the American Airlines, FedEx, there's something to be said about that. To your point about the ability to use a product and everyone feel confident and comfortable in it.
And we, one of the things that Zebra does really well is we reinvest in R&D, and a big chunk of our profits every year go back to that research and that R&D investment in the next generation of products. And all the things that we've learned along the way continue to make us number one in this space because we take these learnings. I remember a time when you planned for mobile devices to make sure you had enough batteries in the equation to get through a shift. And that, way back when on a 900 megahertz device, that battery maybe lasted 2 or 3 hours. And so you had, if you had a 6 or 8 hour shift, you had twice the number of batteries that you needed, plus some, so that you always had battery power, and you factored in battery swap as part of that. Somebody had to walk somewhere to get another battery and come back. Fast forward to 2025, 2026 and beyond, these batteries last more than a full shift, well into a shift and a half, 2 shifts. And so that helps the retailer in their investment and their spend. It helps the colleague feel better about the device that they're using. We learn from that in the R&D space in that, bigger, more power, lighter battery, longer use time, that's where we're driving to. And so you think about the investment that Zebra puts into this, to your point, Mike, about how well the devices function. Not only is the chipset great and the scanner's great, and you can read long distances, and the RFID readers are excellent, battery life matters. You put all that together, and you got a top tier, best in breed device that you can deliver to a store colleague.
I would take it a step further with mobile device management and the capabilities associated with that technology and software, where you could tell a device's battery life or battery percentage at any given time, or where a device is, or if a device is having problems, and being proactive from a serviceability perspective with those components that you spoke of. I mean, when you think about that, encompassing all of it, as a partner and someone that handles that for a lot of our customers, it's really a great solution when you could incorporate all of those things. So good point there.
That's a good lead into, we talk about, omnichannel, and where's omnichannel headed next, and what really matters, or what actually matters? I think, the most hyped up piece of this is AI. And so, Jim, where does AI fit into Zebra's strategy for omnichannel?
Thank you, Justin, for bringing up AI. As a industry principal, I could actually lose my license if I don't say AI at least once every 30 minutes all day long. Zebra is investing in a series of, we call them enablers. So there's different component pieces to this, right? There's the hardware piece, and you think about the chipset and the power and the battery that you're going to have to do all those calculations and run that type of AI infrastructure on the device. So you don't have to lean so hard on fixed infrastructure or appliances that you may have to add. So you want to do a lot of that on the device when you can. The other thing that Zebra, is investing in is a series of software enablers, right? So call it kind of like we touched on kitting for devices. It's kind of kitting for AI. There's things like OCR recognition for looking at a shelf of cereal boxes or nails or what have you, and understanding what's there, being able to pull off information from either the barcode or an OCR read or an RFID read or any kind of computer visual read, and look at that inventory and tell you what's there, how many of them you have. This is not marrying up to what the planogram defines, especially if you think about the grocery space. And so AI is a big piece of what we're working toward. If you're coming to NRF this year in January, you'll see a lot of that conversation presented in our booth. We have a lot of great partners in this space. So it's one of those things, kind of like the RFID drives in the omni-channel space and the inventory visibility and accuracy space. AI and what those AI components are and what they bring to bear from an application and a data perspective, all those things are coming together as part of the retail story and the manufacturing story and the warehousing story and the medical healthcare field stories that Zebra tells. AI is a big piece of that, and you'll continue to see us invest in it as a big piece of what we need to deliver to satisfy customers. Justin, you made me reflect on what else is happening. You touched on omnichannel and where we could go next and where retail's heading. One of the things that I think we'll also see a lot of as we move through 26 and beyond is that personalization conversation, right? It showed up again in the beginning of our discussion around the customer trusts your brand. You want to make sure that they're set up for success. And so one of the things that matters to a customer, we're all consumers, we're all shoppers. If I go to your site or I have your app on my mobile device and I put in a lot of information, preference, color, taste, size, palette, what have you, I give you all that. My payment information. I give you my delivery information. I may have 2 or 3 addresses filed away that I want you to ship to. All that is a sign of trust, right? I'm giving you personal information that I'm trusting you to deliver against that retail promise. And when that personalization fails, the retailer suffers. They're going to pay a price. That consumer is not going to trust you again. They're not going to come back to you. So as this hyper personalization trend continues in retail, the more I know about you, the more I can target your needs and make sure that you get them from me, the retailer, that prescribes success for me. And I think, one of the things we'll continue to see is retailers want to deliver against that. It shows up in different ways, different pieces of hardware and software combined in that colleague's hands. But so that's another thing to watch for is that personalization conversation as we move forward into 26 and beyond.
I would agree. I think, the partnership and IW plus Zebra, right? How we're fully connected in the life cycle from the warehouse bench to the store associate's hand is exactly what you're talking about. And if there's any type of failure, in between there, then that's big time trouble. But we're professionals. We've been in the industry for such a long time, and I think that's, our partnership works so well. We understand what the customer wants. We're in proximity to Zebra. We can take our customers to the evolution or the experience center, if you will. We've got folks like yourself and other engineers and specialists that can really drive home questions that will help predict what the future is of technology and how they can use it in their stores. But you're putting all these things together, and it's a really cool marriage, if you will, between two companies that are very, similar but not. But we bring it together, we work well together, and we drive home, the solution for the greatest success that the customer could experience.
It's a great partnership. We love it. You guys are really good at what you do, exceptional at what you do, and it matters to a customer. We're using the term customer in a couple different ways in this conversation, right? We're thinking about the technology customer that's setting up and delivering solutions for the ultimate customer who walks into a retailer to spend their money. And so I don't want to miss on those two terms, but either one of them means success ultimately for our customers. So yeah, love this relationship. I love this time that we got to spend together today. This is a great discussion.